Yep. All right. The two leagues we haven't talked about yet, Big 12 tournament, SEC tournament. We can get to the SEC in a second, but I want to make sure we talk about the Big 12 because it feels like the one team that really has something to play for here is Baylor. And Baylor's probably on the right side of the bubble. But Baylor is also one of those teams where if you end up losing to who would it be in the first round? Either Kansas State or Arizona State. You don't want to be in a situation where you lose to them. You're sitting there 18 and 14 overall, Fanta, and you find yourself on the wrong side of the bubble on Selection Sunday because there's a bunch of bid thieves that pop up.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a tough year for Baylor overall, but their metrics are still pretty good. They have five quad one wins and at 31 in the net, spot ahead of UConn, a couple spots ahead of Mississippi State. Creighton seven spots behind there. Arkansas is eight. Like I think they'll find their the right side of the bubble regardless. But you don't want to have to play in Dayton. That's where the committee could say, all right, like this is not a team that we have a lot of faith in, and so that this is where we're going to put them. Could you imagine Scott Drew playing in a game in Dayton if we had said that at the start of the year? No, I mean this team has lost four of six. They just if you look at what they've done lately, they've had trouble scoring the ball effectively. I mean they beat TCU, but that was just a grinded out type game. And another team that, their perimeter shot making is come and gone, and then they're so reliant on VJ Edgecombe to generate for them, and it's a lot. And Rob Wright, the veteran players just they haven't done enough. They haven't. And so I think with this tournament, here's what intrigues me though, right? What intrigues me is the potential for an Arizona Kansas quarterfinal. Are
Mhm.
you kidding me? I know they just met. I know they just met. It was at Allen Fieldhouse. Just some days that Kansas isn't going to lose. And they were always going to win that game. So now I'm super intrigued to see. Yeah, I think Arizona's interesting. They've had ups, downs. They've shown us what could be, but then they've had their struggles. They started the year 4-5, and past couple weeks, it's been a mixed bag. But, when Love saves a day against Iowa State, you're thinking to yourself, man, this team could still be something. Tobe Awaka is such a relentless offensive rebounder. I love watching him play the game. So now I want to see what the rematch looks like if it happens, which I do think it will happen, because Kansas gets Utah or UCF. I think they'll be fine. And I think if you ask me for a pick in this tournament, I have a rule. I don't pick the one seed. I just don't think it's any fun during champ week, and there's better shots of other stuff happening. But I would pick the two. I would take Texas Tech to win this tournament. I think that they're playing tremendous basketball. Last couple of weeks, they had a loss to Houston. There's no shame in that. They beat Houston on their home floor. So if we get a Texas Tech Houston final, please give me round three. We could get 4 rounds of that game. We could get 4 rounds of Houston and Texas Tech. And then I want to see if BYU can keep rolling. I mean, I think BYU and Iowa State, will the real Iowa State please stand up?
That's my question here. My question is, so usually this ends up being like a Kansas and Iowa State home game when it comes to the Big 12 tournament when it's in Kansas City. I don't know how many Kansas fans are making that trip up this year with the way that they've played of late.
Oh, they'll
And
still show.
yeah, they'll probably still show, but then Iowa State's first game is 11:30 Central Time on a Wednesday. And then they play if they win that, they play 11:30 Central Time on a Thursday. Like are they showing up and showing out? Are we having the Cyclone faithful making the trip down there to Kansas City and packing it? So I'll be very curious to see what colors that crowd is wearing because I would not be surprised if you had a very large BYU contingent show up there. Those BYU fans are passionate. Those BYU fans travel. Those BYU fans are all over the place and pop up out of nowhere. You don't necessarily expect them. And this is like they're playing the best basketball in the Big 12 right now, outside of Houston. So we'll see. We'll see,
Yeah.
man.